Hey, football fans, welcome back to another episode of Lions Latest, the show where we gather around and talk about the greatest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Bryan Hanes, and we have some updates from the preseason game last week to talk about, so let's jump straight to the video. Starting off, we are talking about the preseason game review. Let's get straight into it. Unfortunately, the Lions did fall to 1-2 after this preseason game after a 24-17 loss against the Miami Dolphins with a preseason crowd of 47,684, which is pretty impressive. That to me just shows that the Lions fans like me are still showing out, even though I wasn't there. Still showing out, still showing their support after the last 2 years of just being everywhere, which has been totally helpful for the team, getting that kind of crowd home game feeling even when we're away. It's good to see that we're still showing up even in preseason games. I think that's pretty nice. We'll talk about Kyle Allen real quick. So veteran quarterback Kyle Allen had another strong outing. He started the contest for the Lions in the first half of this game. He threw two touchdown passes to rookie receivers, one being Isaac Tesla and Jackson Meeks for a second straight preseason game. It's not bad, not bad. Rookie wide receiver Dominic Levitt also recovered a muffed punt after a Miami 27-yard line at the Miami 27-yard line midway through the third quarter that resulted in Jake Bates putting up a 33-yard field goal to conclude the scoring for the Lions. That was pretty cool to watch. Muff punt took the most out of it. Special teams has actually been showing up really, really big in these preseason games, and it's cool to see that we have continued to just kind of grow. Even if it's a preseason game, I know that's what everyone's saying. It's just preseason. But these are the guys that are going to have to come in if there is something wrong. So to see that the special teams guys are still putting everything out there, staying locked in for every single play. That is really cool to look at. And a little more about Kyle Allen. He had some terrific plays in the first half. He had a couple high throws, to be fair, that went through some of the fingers of receivers like Tesla and Tom Kennedy early on, but he ended up settling in pretty nicely and rattled off 9 straight completions across his final 2 possessions, including those 2 touchdown passes we mentioned earlier. He finished the day with an impressive stat line of 14 for 17 passing for 124 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, with a passer rating of 136.3. Kyle Allen's showing that he wants to be the backup in Detroit, and I think that's really notable. He's not one of our guys we're going to be talking about in the standout players right there, but I did want to talk about him specifically here just to say that he was honestly leading this offense and leading this team through the first half. A little key stat to look at was that the Lions were just 1 for 12 on the afternoon in terms of third downs, but they did convert all 3 of their fourth down attempts, converting on Allen's passes to Meeks, Tesla in the first half, and Jacob Saylor's 4-yard run in 4th and 1 in the third quarter. So Dan Campbell's still going for it on 4th down, and John Morton's like, oh, okay, let's do it. Throwing his guys out there, making sure guys are making plays, and they were. I will say the defense did struggle in pass coverage during the first half, but they ended up cleaning it up. That was kind of weird. There was a lot of broken coverage, guys just wide open. I was starting to think, oh boy, here we go. But cleaned it up pretty nicely. Kelvin Shepard adjusted. It's good to see out of our coordinators. Pass rush was good. Good outing for the defensive pass rushing just in general. Zach Cunningham had a good game too. His pass rushing and his coverage was on point. He caused a lot of pressures on the quarterback, which caused incompletions, getting hit midway through his throw. You know, he was pretty good, and his coverage wasn't too bad either. Zach Cunningham had a pretty good game. And the last thing I want to talk about with this is that the coordinators were just set up, getting the team down, feeling comfortable in their positions. I liked all the third down calls from Shepard. There were some few that got called back because there were a lot of penalty markers this game. There was a ton. But Kelvin Shepard had some really great calls on third down, third and long. He brought the pressure a whole bunch of time. The Lions, going to the blitz, going to man coverage a lot more. And it's cool to see that these blitzes are starting to work out pretty well in our favor. And this is just the second team defense. So who's even going to know what happens once we have guys like Hutch, Tyleik Williams, Marcus Davenport, Jack Campbell going in on there. I think it's going to be really cool to see, and I love that the blitz game is getting picked up. Well, let's talk about the players of the game, though. Players that stood out for me. Specifically, there were 4 that really jumped out besides Kyle Allen, who is really, really making a good name for himself in terms of being our backup quarterback. Starting off with Jackson Meeks, 6'2", 218 pounds guy. He had a really nice training camp with us. I got to see some of his work when I went to the training camp. He looked really good. He looked cool, and he's had a really good preseason couple games so far. He finished this afternoon with 7 receptions for 93 yards and a touchdown, which was awesome. Super, super, super awesome. Then Tesla caught 4 passes for 41 yards and a touchdown. For the second straight preseason game, Meeks was Detroit's leading receiver. The undrafted rookie out of Syracuse, out of all places, the Oranges, caught 3 passes for 78 yards and a touchdown last week in Atlanta. He followed that up with 7 catches against the Dolphins for 93 yards and another score. So he's been going out. He's been, hey, I'm the guy. I'm your guy in the second team offense. But when it's not Tesla, because Tesla has been awesome. Sailors and Vaki, let's talk about them real quick. So first of all, Jacob Sailors, this UFL product that we've talked about, who's from this trash league, whatever. He's been produced. He's been all right. He had 13 carries for 39 yards, 1 reception for 5, but he was big on third downs and fourth downs, picking up good yards, making some good blocks when we really, really needed it. And it's good to see these UFL guys getting in good reps. See, Sailors, every time I saw him out there, I'm like, there he is. There's my guy. And he would go and he'd get a first down or he'd get some good yards. And I'm just like, oh, okay, he's doing good. He's not behind our star O-line, and he's doing some good work. You think these UFL guys are just going to come in and not get that many touches or not get very many yards off their reps. And he was doing all right, so it's cool to see from him. Vaki, let's talk about Vaki. He recorded 30 yards over 5 carries, averaged 6 yards a carry. He was also a weapon on special teams. Let's talk about that real quick. He recorded a forced fumble during a return. The Lions, unfortunately, didn't get on top of it. The Miami was able to recover it, but textbook tackling here. Put his helmet right on the football in while the guy was juking. So he read it perfectly. Perfect location for the tackle. Knocked the ball out. That is what we need to see out of these guys, right? If you're going to be on special teams, we need you to be special players, right? And he looked great. He looked awesome. And that forced fumble was like, oh, okay, he knows what he's doing. He's making a really good name for himself. He'll probably secure a spot on the roster, special teams, but I'm excited to see him keep developing this season and hopefully be a really good special teams guy for us. I think over the next few years, there's a good chance maybe Craig Reynolds deals with an injury or we send Craig Reynolds somewhere else because he's honestly just been here as a locker room guy and a solid running back 3, just in case Monty or Gibbs for some reason aren't going to be going. But I see Vaki, if he keeps developing the way he's going, he could be a solid running back 3 for us. I like what I saw from him. I liked his cuts. I liked him being able to find the gaps. And he has some good speed once he gets into that, not secondary, but linebacker kind of position on the field. I was really, really pleased with what I saw from Vaki, and it's good to know that we have some special teams guys who are going to be really good for us. Finally, Tesla had a very strong performance in his second preseason game against the Dolphins. He secured 4 receptions for 41 yards and a touchdown. And you're thinking, 40, okay, whatever, 41 yards, 4 receptions. That's not fantastic, but let's talk about his touchdown. He just goes up in the end zone and grabs this ball from Kyle Allen. I will say Kyle Allen threw an absolute dart, put it right where he knew his receiver would grab it, threw it just above the defender, knowing that Tesla is a little bit bigger, is contested catcher, and he went straight up over this defensive back and just grabbed this ball. I mean, you should go and look at this highlight. Not that it's like, again, it's preseason, right? He's going up against second team guys, third team guys, but he is really showing that he was worth the pick. We need a guy like him to balance out our receiving core, right? Because we have St. Brown, who's that slot guy. Jameson Williams is our speedster. But where's our big man? Where's our contested catcher, right? Tim Patrick's probably going to be it for the most of this season, but he's dealing with an injury. He's getting older, right? Probably not going to hold on to Tim Patrick for a long-term deal. Isaac Tesla is probably going to be that long-term deal. Having that contested catch guy who just goes up and grabs stuff when we know we need him to is so, so, so good to have on a team. I won't compare him to Megatron, but Megatron, right? He was your guy where you can throw it up and you know he's coming down with it no matter what. It's good to have guys like that on the team. I'm not trying to make a direct comparison between Tesla and Megatron, but it's kind of one of those like safety, one of those comfort throws you can throw up to a guy, especially on the goal line fade. He might bring it back. Who knows? Might bring it back. And I think honestly, he is going to secure our wide receiver 3 spot next year for sure. So it's really cool to see what he did. That was awesome from him. Let me know what you guys think. Is Tesla going to get more and more reps since we've seen what he can do in the preseason, or do you think it's going to be that Tim Patrick is going to be the guy and we'll see where it goes? Moving on to our third topic. We've talked about him a lot, but I think honestly this was a deciding game for Hendon Hooker. Is there a doomsday clock on Hooker right now? Initially seen as a potential long-term investment for the Lions, his limited play time and the addition of Kyle Allen, who's been doing pretty good this offseason, have made him a potential cut candidate. Hooker has seen limited action due to his first 2 seasons due to that ACL injury and his position on the depth charts, but now that he's been getting these reps, he hasn't really shown that he deserves to be here. Let's just be honest. Hendon Hooker played the entire second half of this game, finished the afternoon completing 6 of his 13 passes. Attempts for 61 yards with a passer rating of 28. Hooker started his last possession at the Lions' 39-yard line with 1 minute and 42 seconds left in the game. And to be fair, he navigated Detroit down to the Miami 13, and it looked like we were going to go down and win the game. And then he just threw a pass directly to one of the linemen or linebackers, and it was an interception. It ended the game to Miami's Ethan Robinson, which that was just one of those moments. And it was like, dang, Hooker, like you were going, man, you were getting it done, and then it just didn't happen, which is really unfortunate for Hendon Hooker. So what's the future for Hooker? Honestly, with him and Kyle Allen, I think Kyle Allen is just outright beat him at this point. Hooker's moved down to 3 on the depth chart officially, with Kyle Allen being number 2. And if Goff goes down, it's not like I'm like, hey, we got Kyle Allen. I think we're in trouble. Pretty much, we're screwed if Goff goes out, regardless. But I don't think Hooker is just going to be a solution for us, period. And I don't think the way he's been performing even gets him a 3rd spot on this team, because he hasn't proved that he's even ready to compete in a regular season game, which is just it's pretty unfortunate for Hendon Hooker, right? He was this big prodigy. He's going to be this big prodigy out of college, and then injuries, and then he came back from his injury, and he just really wasn't the same. And to give him credit, the Detroit offense doesn't really do stuff around designed quarterback runs, so we're also not giving him a whole lot of help in where his strength lies. But I think the time for Hendon Hooker in Detroit is over. I don't know if he's going to be on this team come the start of the season. And then we've talked about trades for him. I don't know if there's even a trade we can get from him right now after that last game. I think Hendon Hooker, I made the joke with my dad, but I think Hendon Hooker may have thrown his last NFL pass this past Saturday. Hopefully he gets somewhere, and hopefully he has a good opportunity somewhere else where they need a quarterback. Maybe, I don't know, maybe maybe the Saints, maybe New Orleans, right? They got Shaw. I don't know if Shaw's going to be the future there. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think this is honestly the end of Hendon Hooker in the NFL, period, or do you think he's going to get a position somewhere else? And if so, what team do you think could take him right now and possibly get the most out of Hendon Hooker? But right now, it's not looking too great for him. I hope the best for him, but he needs to improve it a little bit more quickly before he gets another big shot like he did as a 3rd-round pick. Finally, today, we are going to talk about the injuries over the weekend. There were just a couple, and we got some updates on other guys. I'll leave the big one for last. Starting off, DiCaprio Bootle moved to injury reserve. He was one of those guys that went out in training camp against the Dolphins, and they've officially moved him to injury reserve. Keithan Sutherland has also been moved to IR, which is not good because he was one of our backup linemen. Bootle, obviously, don't like to see guys get injured, but he wasn't one of the next up guys, right, for cornerback. Sutherland probably was going to be one, so having him move to IR indefinitely is a little worrisome. We need to get some more guys on that O-line for depth, absolutely, because it's going to be important on that position. O-line being one of our biggest strengths. If they go out, then the rest of the offense might not click the way it's supposed to, right? Craig Reynolds limped off the field during the preseason game, holding his hamstring. Scared me a little bit, but there's been no official announcement on him yet, so hopefully it's not anything too big. Maybe just pulled something real quick, maybe just got a little sore. Hopefully that's just the case, because he is our running back 3, and we will need him in the regular season coming up. And then finally, the big one, Ahmed Hassanin, one of my favorite guys, one of the guys I've hyped up on this channel, suffered an upper body injury during the preseason game. I'm thinking it's pec, somewhere in the pec area. Campbell said it could be a minute before he comes back. I'm really sad about this one. I wanted to see him develop super quickly for us. I wanted him to be one of our guys coming up in the next 3 years who we could call on, or maybe he works alongside Hutch if he has kind of a breakout. But this injury is definitely going to be a bump in the road for him, which just makes me sad. Makes me a little upset. I really wanted to see him go quickly because he's one of those favorite guys, especially for the Detroit fans in general. He's been kind of one of those fan favorites, and hopefully he gets better real soon because we do want to see a lot more from him. And then now that I just think about it, Broderick Martin actually was playing in this preseason game, so he finally got some reps in. He didn't do anything crazy. I didn't record anything like a sack, but he had some good pressures. He did draw a few penalty flags, which isn't good, but the bottom line is it's good to see Broderick Martin back in. He's got one more week to prove himself ready for the roster. And the way it's going right now, I'm not sure if Broderick Martin was one of those gambles that was correct to take for us. one of those other guys I was really excited for and just isn't working out. So unfortunate, but hopefully he does get better and hopefully he gets a shot somewhere else if he doesn't stay with us, right? Um, and then speaking of not staying with us, I do want to say that when I was talking about guys like Sailors, Meeks, right? While they were fantastic, I don't know if they're also going to stay on Detroit, but it was just cool to see what they can do. And hopefully, if they go to another team, they have great seasons and great development. And I'll definitely be keeping up with those guys. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Lions Latest. If you made it to this part of the video, tell me what you think about Hendon Hooker. Is he going to get a shot somewhere else? Is this the end for him? Are we not going to hear his name ever again in the NFL? Let me know what you guys think. And then tell me what you thought about this preseason game. What were our biggest strengths and our biggest weaknesses? And what are we going to do to make it better? Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. It truly means the most to me. We made it to 400 subs. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much for the support. Next time to 500 and 600, etc. But it's really cool to see the support you guys have been giving me. Thank you so much for watching this video. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.